the scope and outreach of G20, a group of the world's 20 largest economies under the Indonesian presidency, have gone beyond mere global economy and development as subjects and matters deliberated throughout the one-year term of Indonesian presidency have expanded to a wide variety of sectors and topics.
Of over a dozen working groups established under the principle of inclusiveness carried forward by Indonesia as the G20 chair and organizer of this year's G20 summit, M20 or MUSIC20 has been actively involved in the promotion of equal rights for all global communities. And to find out what the M20 is all about, we are extremely honored to be joined by the Executive Committee Chairman of the M20, formerly Ambassador of Indonesia to New Zealand and Tonga. Our own personal idol, His Excellency Tantowi Yahya. Welcome, sir, to our conversation here on the G20 overview.
By the way,
thank you very much.
Studio.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's absolutely an honor for me to be here,
We know that heading towards the summit in just a matter of days, you are extremely busy, jam-packed schedule. So still making your time to join us, we truly appreciate it, Your Excellency. Let's just delve right ahead into the hot button topics of our conversations for this segment, the M20. We've played out the future package. We've got some sort of information on it. We've also been covering the event throughout the year. But if you'd be so kind to sort of give us the initial ideas as how to the M20 or M20 come to an initiations within the G20 engagement groups this year.
Well, it started from our meeting with our Minister of State-Owned Enterprises, Pa Erick Thohir, when we went to his office about 5 months or 6 months back. So in that conversations, we were challenged by him of why the music community, whose in numbers so big and diverse, cannot come up with something like other community groups do, like the Religious 20, Women 20, Sport 20, Youth 20, Youth 20, and Business 20. And we were very much shocked in a very positive way, knowing that, yes, we should do this, maximizing the presidency of Indonesia. And then we took the challenge. It took a month for us, Asmin, myself, Chandra Darusman, Triawan Munaf and Kadri Muhammad. We were the fantastic four that that went to his office.
You truly are.
Exactly. So thank you. So it took us a month once again to develop and formulate the concept. So after a month, we went back to his office and presented the concept, which the minister 100% agreed. So it's basically the MUSIC20 is not a concert. It's a movement from the music people in Indonesia for the world. So we truly believe that first, the missions of Indonesia or the 4 big priorities set forward by Indonesia in its presidency, it's not clearly understood by the people of Indonesia at large.
Okay.
So setting up or building up the health World Health infrastructure,
global health architecture,
exactly, and then
energy transition, and also the digital transformation,
and the food, what do you call it? The food crisis,
food and energy crisis. That's right.
So those 4 issues are actually very relevant issues and very useful issues for the world, not only for Indonesia. But this mission is not clearly set. I'm frank to say that not everybody understands that. So we help the government through the music, through the language of music, through the stages and performances that we have, convey the message to the people, especially the Indonesians, so that people know, and then at the end of the day, they will support Indonesia's presidency in this G20. Second, through the language of music, through the charm, that belongs to the music activists all over the world. We would like to elevate the awareness of the people around the world about very important issues right now. It's about climate change and also about sustainability, about fairness in industry, and of course about peace. We do believe, music language is very easy to understand, and highly acceptable by everyone because music recognizes no boundaries. If you agree with me,
Exactly.
it has no religion, it has no gender, it has
right.
no whatever. So
it penetrates all elements of societies across the globe.
Exactly. So we'd like to appeal the G20 country members to use the music, with all its infrastructures, to speak to their own world, to their own people, about the necessity of these issues that I said earlier.
Okay.
So translating all of the global problems and our noble missions within the G20 and beyond through music.
Through music.
All right.
Yeah.
Devi.
Yeah. Can we say that the M20 establishment is actually internally driven, Pak Tantowi?
It can be internally driven, but in fact, this is for the world. It's an international movement driven by Indonesia because it is initiated by Indonesia. So I'm fair to say, Devi, that we are very thankful to the government for giving us a chance, for giving music for the very first time to speak out about why music should be a very important element in conveying even the very difficult messages. And again, we are very grateful that the concept is wholly understood and accepted by the committee. I'm talking about the government of Indonesia. So yeah, I think we should be proud as Indonesians. The concept of MUSIC20 is initiated and established in Indonesia. And we hope that it will sustain and will rock and roll, in the next G20s, wherever it is done.
Okay,
All
so
right.
Pak Tantowi always use the language of music, rock and roll.
Music is his soul. If you haven't figured it out already, it is a part of his soul. So, Your Excellency, so it's good to know that we initiate this, as you mentioned, meaning that in Italy's presidencies and previously Saudi Arabia's presidency, there's no M20, or was there?
No. Music has never been given a stage and a room to advocate the big language of the world's dynamics right now. So it's only in Indonesia music has got the chance. So we never stop being grateful and thankful to the government of Indonesia, being the presidency of G20 2022, for giving music for the very first time a stage to speak out loud about our current issues.
So how did you manage to embrace our local artists, be it celebrities or just artists in the regional levels of Indonesia, with all of their creativities? We have, if we take a look inside within the countries itself, we are so rich. We have so much music potentials. So how do you embrace them? Okay, let's do this together and let the world within the G20 member states and beyond how beautiful Indonesian music and how we can carry forward all of these noble messages into our creations and performances.
I like your question because normally when uniting a thought, of so many and diverse musicians in Indonesia has never been easy. Because musician has ego, right?
Yeah.
They want always to be in the forefront. They want to be a leader. But in this very case, because the concept is very, very clear, so I think we found it much easy to convince all of our colleagues and friends to support this idea. And as a matter of fact, I should say that all of the musicians in Indonesia are behind us in supporting these ideas. So it took us 6 months from the concept to the executions of the M20. And I should say that this is the fastest ever organizing side events of the G20. It took us only 6 months.
Very proud of that.
It's easy to say, it's safe to say that music can truly unite us, and a clear example is in the engagement groups of M20, where it's truly established. So, Devi, you have something to ask.
If we may touch on the M20 summit, sir, what was the discussion actually? What was the, let's say, the hot topic of the M20 summit?
Okay, so like I said earlier, MUSIC20 is a movement. So it's a platform, so to say, for us as the initiator to embrace the musician in the G20 member countries and also beyond, to speak about issues which are very urgent and we are very beneficial to all people in the world. So we started by making a a zero concept, zero drop, so to say. So it's a zero drop is the terms that is commonly used in diplomatic sphere. So we drafted through the help of our friends at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So there were 18 points stipulated in the zero draft that covered all issues in the world right now. Okay, so mainly the issues are aimed at giving awareness, higher awareness of the people about the necessity to take care of our environment,
Mother Earth,
and then to be with the government in climate actions, and also speaking and then creating an environmental friendly concert. So in the discussion we were talking about how to create not zero but low emission concerts. So there will be no longer fossil fuel electric generator use, for open air concert, but instead we encourage them to use blue and green energy to set up the electricity. So no plastic, obviously, and then all the things that are used in the concert should be recycled. So that's one of the outcomes of the communique that we finally able to build on. And also we touch the areas of fairness or justice in business. We want to make access to all genres of music to business. So there'll be no longer exception. For instance, we are talking about traditional music in Indonesia. They find it hard, to be on television. Okay,
that's right.
They find only TVRI as the home, for them.
That's the actual condition.
Exactly,
because they're not exactly popular, not exactly commercial, but they need that platform to be provided.
Of course. So we don't want that to be sustainable, so to say. So it's not only applied for Indonesia, but for all over the world. So access for the traditional music to the industry, which includes the broadcast, should be equals. Should be also given to them. And also we also touch the area of giving appreciations to the school teachers or to the persons who dedicate themselves to teach music to the community.
Especially music teachers at school.
Exactly. So there are so many areas that are covered by the 18 ballots or 18 points in the communique, which started from the zero draft that we circulated to the country members, 3 weeks before.
Right.
So we managed to have the participation of 17 countries. That's not bad, eh?
That is amazing, sir.
Yeah.
Especially when you come to the word and finally confirming that it is a communique, not instead a chair summary, meaning that all bullet points that you mentioned have been agreed upon by all present members.
We are very proud
and
of
delegates because when we talk about communique, throughout the year, particularly at the end, Your Excellency, that is a rare thing to combine. A lot of our working groups and other engagement groups have suffered from challenges and disagreements and deadlocks.
I know.
And to hear like youth 20s, music 20s, young minds and sense of musics, these people can come together. What does that tell you as a co-chair of M20? Does it mean that all of these cultural and artistic elements is actually a subtle way to bring people together?
That's what makes music different from dress, right? We are not talking about politics. We like politics, but we don't want to involve politics
into the
issues that we are talking about. So we found it easier to make a joint commitment, or we call it communique, despite of having Russia in the...
Russia was present in M20.
Exactly, Russia was present.
Wow.
And then most of the G7 countries were also there. So normally there was a debate, a big debate, either in the working group or in the engagement group.
Not only the debate, they don't want to sit at the same table together. So seating arrangements is a head-scratching thing. What were the challenges there?
There was no such challenge, so to say. So this is one of the things that we as the organizers are very proud of. Music, like I said, recognizes no boundaries. Music has no politics, right? So, and then we practice it very well. So when it comes to discussing about big issues, and then it should be ended with a joint statement, we don't find it hard to embrace and then to unite all the musicians, regardless where they are from and regardless the issues that those countries are having in the G20.
You didn't go into prolonged interventions or deadlocks or discussions until over midnight.
No.
Everyone, I suppose, was having a good time at the M20.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. I want to touch actually with the low emission concert. It's quite interesting.
That is very interesting.
yeah.
I was going to go further on that. Please, Debbie.
Could you please tell us more about the low emission concert? What is the low emission concert? Let's say, what was the concert that were previously, usually held by the organizers? There are also many concerts have been held are high emission, not low emission concert.
Okay.
Because from what you mentioned briefly earlier, it's the blue and green energy only, and no plastic use, and everything is recyclable. And how will it inspire future music congregations in the country? And
Okay, honestly speaking, from the four priorities issues set forward by Indonesia in its presidency, I should say that energy transition becomes something which is very demanded.
Exactly.
So the participation in that session has always been full and high.
Yeah.
So it shows you that people now, in the world are dreaming of having a clean world, okay, less polluted world,
Yeah.
and we should walk the talk.
Yeah.
Right? We should walk the talk. So in the application, we have to be able to transform it into actions. Now for music, I think the easiest way to implement that concept is to having low emissions or a green concert. So it is a must in the future. It is mandatory in the future that no longer fossil fueled generator is used to support the electricity of especially the open air concert. We have, they show the event organizer, the promoters should be able to use green energy, electricity power to support the electricity, and it can be done. It can be done. In some countries in Europe, they already do that. If we can do that here, I think it's a rewarding, for all the works that we have done so far. And a second, it's so easy, to commend all the people that would like to attend to a concert. Don't bring any plastic bottle. Bring your tumbler, okay, and then bring something else,
something
to put your water.
reusable.
Something reusable. We can do that, okay? So no recycle thing, no entry. It's so easy.
There's actually a check at the door.
Yeah, a
of
check
the
at the door.
consort.
A check at the door.
Oh, okay.
So there is no waste after any concert that you do, whether it's small or big. And the third one, that all the things brought up to the concert should be recycled. This is what I call a green concert. And I think it will be perfect if that kind of concert can also be supported by the green finance or the green banking.
Exactly.
As you all know, in Europe, they start having that.
Green bonds.
Green
Excellent.
bonds.
Yep.
Yeah, green bonds. So any music projects, whether it is recording or a live concert that are aimed at fighting the climate change, have to be supported by the green bond, the green banking, and the green finance.
But do you think it is easy to be applied here in Indonesia?
It's not easy, but we have to start doing that now.
Right. I think it will be supported further, and it can be pushed forward through government's regulations, which we can hope can translate as soon as possible. We'll continue the conversation, Your Excellency, in just a few moments. We'll have to take a short break.
I can wait for that.
So stay with us right here on TVI Our World for the G20 overview. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much for still being here with us on TVR World's G20 overview. We're still discussing about M20, MUSIC20. So we're still here with the co-chair of the MUSIC20, His Excellency Tantowi Yahya.
All right, Your Excellency, we are. We assume the duty of Indonesia's G20 presidency under a time like no other. We just recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. There's this geopolitical tensions, war in Ukraine, food and energy crisis, as you mentioned. Where did M20 come in this sort of situations in the time of recovery to sort of accelerate and expedite our recovery process?
Well, it is very timely for Indonesia to include music in the activity of the G20 as a side event.
Yeah.
And actually, this is the manifestations of the hope of our presidents that under Indonesia's presidency, we are not only talking about serious issues like politics and economy, but we are also touching the issues of the public. So it's people to people issues.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of the thing that differs Indonesia from the rest when it comes to organizing the G20. So involving music in the discussion of the G20 is very timely in a sense that there are many delicate issues that cannot be delivered easily through the normal and formal languages.
Yeah. We need a different approach for those.
We need a different approach to speak them out.
Yeah.
And I think music is the right choice, knowing that music is a very universal language, loved by everyone in the world.
Yeah.
Okay,
It transcends boundaries.
Exactly. Something wrong if you find a people that doesn't love music.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And you also mentioned briefly that we saw the participations of 17 countries, delegates from those 17 countries. And so that means we have plenty of voices within the MUSIC20 taking part, deliberating. What were their responses, some of the highlights of their responses, Your Excellency, that you can remember that truly staggers you, meaning that we have truly touched the hearts of our participants of the M20?
I think one of those important issues and crucial as well when we include a paragraph about peace.
Peace.
Yeah. I know, like you said earlier, we are in uneasy situations right now, with the continuing war between Ukraine and Russia. Now, having that paragraph, with the presence of Russia, as you know it, has never been easy.
The paragraph on that, touching on that, that was always That was always the hardest.
Exactly.
How did it go for the M20, sir?
It's easy because the representatives from Russia did not wear the hat of politicians. So they were the hat of civilians who are, who is dreaming of having peace, who is dreaming of having, peaceful world.
Yeah.
So when we touch discussing about that issues, we didn't find, any rejections or no
persistence
from that delegations.
Yeah.
I think that is the most delicate matter in that discussion.
Yeah. When you phrase it as the Russian delegates did not wear the politicians had, it reminded me of the times for other working groups and other engagement groups where the politicians' hats they wear all the times, and the sentence of "we are carrying the message from our capital." They cannot go beyond that, and that's always the dead end of the conversation. And that was not the case for the MUSIC20, which we hope it can inspire others moving forward as well.
You're right.
Yes,
Yeah, because the participants of the MUSIC20, they are neither politicians and nor bureaucrats. So they don't carry their government messages in the discussions. So they spoke on their own, and they really exercised their freedom of being musicians who can speak anything, for the betterment of the world, a betterment of their industry, and betterment of the welfare of the people. So they exercised that. So we didn't see any problem, like most of the people in our sector projected.
Sir, how do the delegates and also Indonesian delegates relate the musical concepts into these big issues?
Obviously speaking, when it comes to drafting a consensus or a joint statement is never easy.
Yeah,
Especially when it comes to the political interests, of certain countries.
Yeah, the choice of words
Exactly,
and everything.
exactly.
Where the commas and the full stops are.
Yeah. But because what we discuss are common issues, and some of them are very urgent, So we found all the issues discussed are things in common. Yeah, for us to find the solutions to solve, no matter where you are from, and no matter what interests your countries are having. So what we appreciate so highly is that all the musicians, all the music activists representing their own countries in the discussions were wearing their own hat as free people that can speak about anything as long as it is for the benefit of the whole people.
Your Excellency, Mr. Tantowi Yahya, you are one of a kind. You are everything. You are a businessman. You are a prominent musician. You are an esteemed diplomat. You've done it all, and we are inspired by you. What makes you feel so passionate about this music participations in the G20? What's the personal calling for you in this particular engagement group?
Simply myself and my three other colleagues, Chandra Triawan and Kadri Muhammad, we simply want that G20 does not have to be always serious.
Yeah.
Okay?
Let's kick back for a bit
Exactly.
from all this political tensions.
We really want to be involving the people, the common people, in the discussion of the G20. This is, if you want to involve the people, like you always say, that G20 is for everybody, right? Yeah. And without knowing it, this is the concept of thinking of our president. He wants G20 under Indonesia presidency is different from the rest.
Yeah.
And what makes it different, one of which is the involvement of the people. Yeah. And this is it.
Yeah. This was also discussed at the beginning, Your Excellency, how the G20 under Indonesia's presidency is ultimately, we're making better policies with all of these major economies. Ultimately, it will end up for the betterment of the people, the welfare of the people.
Yep.
And this needs to be communicated in every which way possible. We've done advertisements, we've done public announcements, and you're doing it through music, through songs. So the communiques, the 18 bullets that you've briefly mentioned earlier, where does it go from there? Where do you project MUSIC20 beyond the G20 summits that we're having in a couple of days?
Okay. We have handed over the communique to President of Indonesia, Pak Jokowi, through the Sherpa, through the G20 committee.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be out of the systems.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? We follow all the systems.
Yeah.
So the channel should be through the Sherpa, which we did, I think about 2 weeks ago. Right?
It's already submitted to the Sherpa track.
Already?
Yeah.
Already. Okay. We hope that some points of the communique can be put in the leaders' declaration, which is now being drafted.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Mr. Dian Triansha Jani as our co-Sherpa track, co-Sherpa, probably have had a reading of the M20 communique.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't expect that to be in the body of the leaders' declaration. If it can be put in the annex, it is good enough for us. So what we did is mentioned, is recognized by the community, by the committee. And second, with the permissions from the Sherpa, with permissions from the G20 Committee of Indonesia, we will send the communique to India, being the next presidency of G20, with the hope that it will sustain there. Yeah. So theoretically, the MUSIC20 will be bigger in India. Because one of the number one industry in India is music.
Yeah, the dancing and the singing.
It's music.
That's like the land of it all.
Yeah.
Like.
So MUSIC20 was born in Indonesia, but it becomes bigger in India, and become bigger in Brazil, whose music
Oh,
is also,
man. Yeah.
you know, widely
yeah.
known.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
All the parades and the
Yeah.
cheers
Such a
and the
perfect time.
festivities.
Yes.
Perfect platform for the music 20 to continue on. That was actually my next question to you, but apparently Devi has another. Go ahead, Devi.
That's okay if you want to go ahead first, because
No,
I
no,
just
please
want to
do.
know that
Yeah.
how did the general public respond to this, to the M20?
Alhamdulillah, hastung kara in the Balinese way.
Exactly, that's right.
Exactly. We have received very good response from the people, from the media. I mean, the news about M20, you know, is widely exposed. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost every day right now,
Yeah.
which we enjoy very much. So it indicates that the support from the public, which is manifested by the support from the media, you know, is huge, wide, and I think it's still rolling.
Because it is a very interesting that Indonesia start or initiate a MUSIC20, because it is related to the G20, as we know that G20 is only a forum of economic things, political things, but
finance and other economic social issues.
Yeah.
And
but then we relate it into the music, so it's very interesting.
Right. Mr. Tantowi, you've mentioned earlier that you're going to be bringing this concept of MUSIC20 to India as the next presidency, and the handover, we believe, will be happening in sometime next week from Indonesia to India, with Minister Narendra Modi scheduled to attend in person himself. So how will you be in touch with our Indian colleague? Because on our part, representing the medias and journalists, we've been approached by our Indian colleagues just sort of to have a sense of how we did our part the entire year, so they get a sense of what they need to do and probably surpass our achievement in India. So have you been in touch with our Indian colleagues in terms of passing the torch of MUSIC20?
Yeah.
How did it go?
One of the committees of India's presidency of G20 next year is a very close friend of mine. Yeah, he was Indian High Commissioner to New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
So he was Indian ambassador to New Zealand, and we were very good friends then, and we still keep contact. So we have communicated quite a lot about this, and we have received very pleasing response from them. So hopefully that the discussion will continue. And actually, one of the most important persons in our perspective as the initiator of M20 to meet in this G20 is the Sherpa of India, who will be here. So I really hope to see him and share with him about what we have achieved through MUSIC20, in the hope that MUSIC20 can be continued under India's presidency next year.
Yeah. And MUSIC20 is only one thing of so many other things that you have to communicate on behalf of the Indonesian governments, we believe. And
I'm only in charge for music. I'm only in charge for music.
All right, Mr. Tantowi, when we talk about music and the industry itself, it cannot be denied that, you know, the digital rights and, rights to intellectual properties and the digital landscape have clashed over the years. And M20, as a part of G20, it is undeniable that that has brought up the conversations on how do we protect our musicians and how do we incentivize the survival of the musical industries. Do you think that M20, in a way, bring forth that issue during your discussion?
Issues of digitalization is also stipulated in one of the 18 ballots in the communique. I forget which ballot, but there are 1 or 2 ballots that discuss about digitalizations, discuss about the protections of the intellectual property rights when the whole industry is digitalized. So that issues cannot be denied right now. That's why this, like I said, very timely to speak about and discuss about so many issues that already happened and will be happening in, you know, short years to come.
So that's something we can look forward to, right, Debbie?
Yep.
Yep, that's right. So then the summit also discussing about the protection to the musician, because as we know that we can just download music everywhere through the internet, like illegally. So how do you see that condition?
You know what we thought a few years back, when music becomes digital, there is no more piracy. This is what we thought. But actually, what we were thinking is absolutely wrong. So the piracy in the digital music is horrible right now. And we don't have law to protect that. So this is one of the biggest issues that we in the music industry is facing right now, and how to protect our work, and how to make everybody involved in the digital music understand and respect the law. If the law does not exist yet, they have to respect, the common practice in the music industry. That there is no such music which is free. Okay, you have to pay compensations to whoever makes the music.
I guess now at this point it returns to our own self as the consumer, as someone who enjoys music, whether or not we love the music and would like a part of what we've enjoyed come and returned to the musicians themselves, meaning that using legal and established channels of music, because it's almost impossible and non-existent, if I may say, Your Excellency, the release of conventional music anymore. Like all the physical releases have been so limited. Everything is digitalized, and the only platform of revenues for our musicians would be from live performances and through other
YouTube.
Endorsements, and through other digital platforms as well.
I was a member of the parliament, for 8 years. My biggest job is to make law. And not only in Indonesia, but I think it happens
around the globe,
around the world, that the law always comes to the industry. Sometimes it's left behind for many, many years. Okay. Now, what happens right now, like I said earlier, is the heavy piracy over music industry, over musical works in the digital industry. So what we are doing right now is educating the people.
Right.
Educating the people that pirating is
just simply wrong.
It's simply wrong.
However, at certain point of our lives, it is unavoidable that sometimes we're offered all of these free releases. And again, as you mentioned, Mr. Tantowi, it comes back to us as the one who enjoyed the music.
Agree.
All right. So we're going to be continuing our conversations, and more exciting topics will be coming our way. Still with His Excellency Tantowi Yahya here in the studio. And in the meantime, we'll take a quick break. Stay with us right here on G20 Overview on TVR Our World. We'll be right back.